Hello, you're at another episode, actually kind of like episode one and a half, because this is our first Two Average Joes with Two Average Joes. We're both here. Robert's here. I'm here. We're going to talk a little bit today about things that are happening in our country, around the world, but in our country in particular, some crazy stuff's going on. We want to be able to address it. We're getting ready to go to at least another lockdown of sort. I think we got the mask mandates coming back. And again, you know, we talk about it a lot, Robert, and long before we started talking about doing the show, we talked about it. It's I'm all for public safety. I think we both are. I think both our professions are for that. Not just us, but the professions. And my worry has been, and always will be, the slippery slope. It's kind of like Marlena's situation. You can believe whatever you want to about Marlena's restaurant. If you don't know, check down the link. I'll have something else in there. But Marlena's situation, look, you can say, hey, she should have had masks. She should have, had her license. She should have done this and that. Maybe she got, maybe we could have an argument about that. Maybe we could have a disagreement. We could talk about it. What I'm not going to talk to you about is it's okay to send 8 police cars to go arrest her. That's not okay. And that's the slippery slope. And I think that's what we're facing. And I think at the end of the day, I think that's going to be the big deal, is the slippery slope.
Well, the huge issue is the erosion of our constitutional rights that they're imposing on us or trying to, and what people are going to do about it. I mean, we are, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure you are too, Joe, fatigued about the pandemic issue and the way that the government's been handling it.
Yeah.
And it seems like don't want to get totally into the vaccines and the non-vaccines and the vaxxers and the non-vaxxers, but there's confusion, and the science seems to be light on what they put out, and confusing, at least to me.
Yes.
And I'm relatively educated, but.
So here's a public service announcement from Two Average Joe. If you need health advice, don't get it from a 70-year-old man that has had his whole life and career basically built on sticking a needle in his ass. That's my public service announcement. I don't care what you think about the mask. Why you ask a guy to stick a needle in his ass for his whole life to get big? Look at work for Arnold. Made a lot of money. I like Arnold movie. I'll be back. I love it. Don't give me health advice. Get the needle out of your ass. There's my public service announcement for today. For people who are for the vaccination, and I'm not criticizing, if you want one, I mean, I think you should go get it. I will never get in the way. Got nothing to say to you about not doing it. Go do it. There's almost this tendency to think, well, why don't the people want it? It's like, did you ever realize the whole thing started off wackadoodle? I was there. Okay. I mean, we all were. I mean, it just started off crazy. The whole way it was produced to us and the whole way it was given to us is, we're going to look back on that, and people will not be kind to us. I've said this in other situations and other talks. I think a lot of what we're doing right now, people will look back and they'll go, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't have any reason why we would have made it so political. I don't know why we would have thrown a bunch of mandates down that looked in and of himself pretty dicey. And I think one thing, Robert, you mentioned it a lot, and I think you being an attorney and stuff, that you see it, it's the constitutional aspects of it. And I'll be real with you. It's like, I knew something was going to be dicey, or people were going to have a different view of this. I'm in Virginia at the time, and they shut down a lot of mom and pop stores, but Walmart was open, right?
Right.
And I thought, see, this is where normal, everyday, good thinking people will sit down and go, I don't like this. And I don't think you can argue with that. I think if you sit there and go, it's okay if Walmart's open, but mom and pop store got to be closed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd make that argument.
I'm getting calls, weekly from potential clients where either their children cannot participate in sports without the vaccine. I got a call, I think it was last week, about someone who could not go be in a college dormitory without proof of vaccine. And I just don't know. I mean, I understand the public safety aspect of that, but the constitutionality of it is lacking, and I know that the government can do a lot of things just by mandate and by backdoor. Like you probably know this, Joe, about drunk driving, that they're really a big funder of roads. The government uses the road money to get the locales to really enforce drunk driving, saying, hey, you don't enforce drunk driving, you don't get so many of them, you're not going to get road money.
Right.
So they can do the same thing with saying, hey, if you don't, I'm sure they'll do this if they haven't already.
Right.
Enact some codes or rules or laws that say, hey, if you don't enforce this vaccine thing, you're not going to get any federal money. And that's probably a valid way to do it. But the way that it's happening, as you see it, and as I see it, is they're just eroding our constitutional rights until we're not going to have any left.
Right. So. And I think it gets down to the point where you go, look, we want safety. I just start worried about at what point, what's this slippery slope? We mentioned it earlier. I got to mention it again. I'm going to go to a concert. No, I'm not. But they're going to go to a concert and I'm supposed to prove that I'm vaccinated. Ain't happening.
Yeah. What happened to HIPAA on that end of it?
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm sure HIPAA is about as good as you want HIPAA to be. What you're finding is laws are dicey.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out who's taking my health information at the Slipknot concert. Right?
There you go.
Let's say this. If I'm at Slipknot and they're taking my, medical history,
yeah,
the guy needs to wear a mask. Because if you don't wear a mask, you ain't got a hair on his butt. Wear a mask, be part of it.
Right.
And I'll be singing that song, People Equal Shit. Well, you're doing it. I mean, if I get, which I'm probably not, because that is absolutely outrageous that you're going to go to a concert and you want to know that I've been vaccinated. It seems so good, though. I can understand some smuckaroony going, that makes okay. So, people need to be safe.
Right. That's what they're going to say.
I'm all for it. I just want to know why some guy in a Slipknot mask is looking at my health records. And if you can't figure out why that's dicey, then, probably you, not me.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it seems to me, going back to some kind of fundamental talks we've had before, Robert, about you're not going to get back to normal. And people, I wish that I could express this enough, and maybe in episode 100, I'll get it correct. People make decisions with their wallets. They vote with their wallets. That's what they do. So you're gonna have people who are vaccinated going, I don't know if I want the ticket usher looking at my health records. So, you know what? Love to see the show. Not going.
Right.
And that's really the end game. And I think that whether I like to think that or not, because see, we're all these great people, we're making these wonderful decisions, but we actually make decisions with our wallet. So I'll be real curious to see how that affects the concert season. Because number one, I think people who are not vaccinated are not going to go there and, get a test. Oh, by the way, in some venues, they're going to give you a test to see if you have COVID. Now, there's two things that I want to be there for. Number one is I want to see who's giving this test.
Right.
And then I want to see the rocket scientists who have to deal with that positive that shows up.
You're right.
Oh,
right.
You got COVID. Sweet my Go over here and sit in the tent. The foresight of this is what I like to refer to as nothing. Okay.
Yeah, right.
No foresight. It's weird. I am going to get on a tangent, but it's like, this is the second public service announcement. See,
no, here we go.
If you're pulling a dirty sock out of your car and sticking it over your face and calling it a mask because it's helping stopping germs when said mask has been in your car for 2.5 weeks, I can't help you. If you don't understand what I'm implying, I can't help you.
Right.
Get a box. Listen, serious public service does. Get a box of masks. Okay, just get a box of masks. Change them. Mother of God, just change the dirty, stinking mask you have over your face. Okay, there it is.
We need an expert to talk about the efficacy of the mask because I've been wearing a mask made by Hanes Underwear Company.
That's right. As a sock. They were making socks first. I don't know. I'm not sold on it. And not that masks aren't good. I'm sure my surgeons were wearing masks.
Yeah, probably not the caliber that I've been wearing for the past 8 years.
And he didn't get it out of his car.
Well, at least I washed mine.
And at no point did my surgeon, get it out of his car. That's all I'm saying. If you can't figure that out, use the dirty mask. I can't. Public service announcement number 2 already.
There we go.
We're just full of public service announcements.
We are that. Did we want to move on to Afghanistan?
Yes. Yes. Another FUBAR.
Yeah. So it seems like we keep getting in. We, and when I say we, mean the United States of America, however you want to call us these days. But I see that we are losing, or at least the Afghani people are losing the country back to the Taliban as we speak. They've taken either half or more than half of the capitals. And our current president is on the not changing his mind about withdrawing anybody, and the drawdown is going to be complete, and we're going to be out. And Joe and I were talking about it before we hit the record button. Seems like we've been here. It's like deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would have said.
From people our age, we saw this at Vietnam.
We really did. And I told Joe, I remember when we were playing in garage bands, them bringing body bags back of our neighborhood people during Vietnam. And to me, it's a disservice to the people who went over there and fought and died and lost limbs and loved ones that we don't seem to have a strategy or an end game for these wars that we keep getting into. And I understand, we got to go around. Evidently, we're the policemen of the nation or the world. Having a hard time policing our own nation, but
yes, we can't do that, but go getting everybody else's business.
Right. So what are your thoughts on that, Joe?
Well, I tell you what, we said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. It's one of those things that I've said this on many occasions. It's like, it's interesting that 10 years ago, this can be the most important thing that we're doing. We have to be over there, because if we're not over there,
they're over here.
Okay. And then all of a sudden we go, then again, times change. Goodbye. And one of the things, and I don't want to miss this point, we change things as we want to go, and we just run it down people's throats. Some people accept it, some people don't. But I got to really be honest with you. It does remind me of Vietnam. It does remind me of that horrible situation. It does remind me of people losing their lives. And I'm sure many of their families are sitting here wondering what for now. But I don't want to lose this point, Robert. And you brought this up one time long ago when we were talking about Vietnam, actually, and talking about the neighborhood and the things we experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure there were people who are our allies that we left over there, and they are now hanging, and I mean literally hanging.
Yeah.
And I just wonder at what end game do people around the world just look at it and go, they're kind of strange allies. They'll stay over here for 10, 15, 20 years. But when they leave, if you're on their side, you may be left to die. And that's literally the truth, people.
Right.
And there are people in Vietnam, we left them and they were horribly murdered. That's a fact.
It doesn't seem like the politicians consider the ripple effects of what we do when we send our people over to fight and die, because you saw it as a policeman through your whole career. I'm sure the wounded people that came back mentally, physically, and otherwise that ended up having huge trauma, them and their families, that they had to deal with for the rest of their lives. So if we're going to send somebody over, our people, to fight and die and give up either their life or their mental health or whatever else, we better damn sure have a plan of what we're doing. It just seems like, I don't know how to put it any other way, that we get a belly full of it and we get tired of it and then we leave. I don't know.
I think it's interesting because a point of reference, and we are boomers, though.
That is true.
Generation X and the millennials are not big fan of boomers. That's okay. Some of it we probably earned. Probably earned, so I'm not gonna go all out on them.
Right.
But we'll share with you something that I find to be true because we are boomers, and I'm not sure that it's a good thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It just is. But we were a World War II generation, meaning we either had, in my case, a dad, or in many other people, because my dad was a little older, granddads who had fought in World War II. And, one of our friends in the neighborhood, his dad was in World War I and World War II. That's our background. That is a very traditional boomer background, that you kind of have this World War II experience, even if you didn't go, or, even though it was 15, 16 years after you were born. And it gave a noble war kind of feeling. But sometimes I think you forget we were only in World War II for like 4 years. Okay. I mean, our part of it, World War II, you can draw back depending on who the history is, and make it as long. Actually, history, is interesting. You can draw World War II, make it as long as you want. But our time in it was really about 4 years. And it was done. And one of the reasons we didn't continue on anything with the Russians and stuff, part of that mythology that comes out of World War II is that we didn't push things further. That would have been a war with Russia, because 4 years was about all the time that people were beginning to wane. Okay. Now that's considered a noble war. Okay. An honorable war. And for boomers, I'll be honest with you, that's the way we were taught. And now we're going into things for 20 years and 15 years. And there has to be some better explanation than we're leaving and they're just taking it right back over. So that's going to be the interesting thing. I think what would be good, and we know people who have been in the military, is to get somebody's perspective who's been there. During this tour, this moment here, and kind of get their feeling on it. Because I find that when people come back from war, they may not talk about it easily, but if they feel compelled to talk about it, they don't always give you the answer you think you're going to get.
Right.
Not always rah-rah as you think they are. So now I think that's something we can work on too. We can bring it up, but I like to get somebody who actually was there to spend a little time talking.
Right. Well, and I think we've stepped back for a minute anyway. Joe is 800 miles from me and in beautiful Virginia, and I'm in Allegheny, Michigan.
Beautiful. And I am wearing an Allegheny hat.
Yeah, you are that. Nice one too.
Give me that Michigan feel.
And we are going to do some of these initial podcasts virtually, as we're doing right now, and with the goal to get to our professional studio, which has been purchased, and I'm trying to equip it. And we have a staff that we're building slowly but surely, and we're seeking funding, of course.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Right. Right. But I think the website is up now.
And the website is up. Two Average Joe's website's up. All of this will be in the description.
And Joe is cranking out the content. I am unfortunately, or fortunately for me, unfortunately for the Two Average Joes, very, very busy with my practice, busier than I've ever been. COVID's been very, very good to me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
World, but fortunate for me. But we are proceeding.
Yeah, I think it's going to go good. I'm handling the writing thing, but for everybody that's watching this particular show, we're going to need your support. The bottom line is we need to get a studio. We also have to do something I think that both Robert and I know, and that is basically form a staff. We need to be able to, work with people. People would like to get paid. And we also have to be able to be on the road. I think that's one of the things. I've done some media stuff in the past, and did a paper, did some websites. And if there was anything that I found interesting was it's a lot more difficult to do something from the road than you think. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do it because I'm telling you, the world we live in right now is burning red hot.
Oh man.
And yes, me and Robert can talk from here. Yes, we can. Look, I can talk about myself. There's a video that does that. Okay. But we got to be where the action is, and we're going to need that. So, not at this very moment, it's not on our website yet, but it's coming, and it's going to be a button there to support us. If you want to support us in other ways, we're gonna come up with that too. And there's going to be some merch. And I think that's very important too, to have just some merchandise for us and some show you our support. I know we have support. I know people are doing it and they're reading it. And even in my other two sites, which one is an art site, Southern Gothic, and the other one is a fitness, 40 plus and fit. I mean, I've got plenty of readers. Those sites would be nice if I could make some money on them, but we don't really have to have a staff. You don't really have to do a lot of video editing. You really don't have to be on location, okay? And that's really what we're asking people to support us for, because we really do have to have that. We have to have a staff. We have to be able to mobilize a group of people. And most importantly, we have to be able to be on the road. I mean, it's a weird world that we live in, because within a studio, you do need equipment. And I think everybody knows that. But everybody also probably knows this world is moving very, very quick, and you need to be places.
There's some crazy stuff happening right now in this world. I mean, and I'm getting some of it coming in my office, and I don't know where the headline went, but I'm defending an attorney that was arrested for trespassing when she was defending somebody who was trying to get a constitutional ballot amendment, some signatures for that at a polling place, and they arrested her for trespassing. And then on the day of trial, they charged her with, or the EVO settlement conference, I think maybe it was trial date. They charged her with an additional disturbing the peace. Yeah, that day, so that's an attorney representing somebody. And then we have the Marlena case, and then I have several other cases that I can't talk about yet, but they're heading to trial. I just filed another appeal this past Friday. So we're going to talk about all of this, but it's going to all take, at least on the Two Average Joe side, proper resources in order to properly report it, because we're going to tell the truth. And what we've said mostly now is mostly opinion based on the truth as we know it. But we want to report accurately and truthfully of what things aren't really hitting the press.
Yeah. And we want to be there. There's going to be a link about all these cases down here. I mean, I got stories, and you can check them out if you're watching this. There's going to be links to the stories. And I mean, the bottom line is we're just going to have to be places. And by the way, it'd be nice if we could send somebody somewhere. So it's interesting, because again, I do believe that our opinion is based on as much truth as we have in front of us. And if it ever comes out where something's different, I'll be the first one to tell you. And so would Robert. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, so we're not sitting here acting like everything's in stone, but we are trying to be as truthful and as honest as we can be with the knowledge that we have. But there is a point where we just have to be places. Me and him have to be places, or we have to be able to send a staff member to be there.
Well, we want to be able to cut in things while we're talking about it. So it's going to take an editor and a producer and all this other stuff, and all money related to that.
Yeah.
So
you know what's free? Nothing. Nothing for free. Okay. So there you go. So if you hear a dog barking, it's because he's cheering me on, because he knows. Yeah.
Right. I don't have a dog cheering.
He's a museum. Yeah, get some money for some milk bone. So yeah, keep that up. So we're going to be doing this on a pretty regular basis, at least once a week. This is the other thing I want everybody to know. If Robert shows up and I'm not here, or I show up and Robert's not here, it's still Two Average Joes, because I'm going to tell you something. Robert, way more than me, okay, has got some time limitations. But here's kind of the deal of all of that. And that is, I would like to get where if something broke, we could do a short video on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just one of us, I mean, if something breaks and we need to talk about it, I mean, and Robert's in court or I'm tied up and he's going to say it, then it's still two average Joes, you know. But we're going to definitely try to do this way and get it done. So we don't want to go on too long. We appreciate everything you have done for us. We've had a lot of support. Okay, a lot of support. But now we're going to need help.
Right.
Sell some merchandise. You know, probably sell some pictures of me.
Uh-oh.
Your friends and family. We're going to let that hang in the air. But look, we're going to be back. We're going to be involved. And this is kind of episode 1.5, but actually I'm going to put this as episode 1.
Cool beans.
We got it, man. So look, everybody take it easy, and we hope to see everybody again real soon. Y'all have a good one.
Until next time.